All right, traders, tomorrow is going to be the last day of the trading week. If you do decide to trade the option contracts that expire tomorrow, this is a friendly reminder to scale back in your position size and let the bigger percentage returns, let the more volatility of the contracts do the work for you. Also, the timing has to be spot on and the entry has to be phenomenal. So make sure you're trading the best setups at the best prices, guys. I got some great setups lined up for you heading into tomorrow and heading into next week, wherever these price alerts are going to trigger. And I'm going to show you how to trade the best setups at the best prices. This video is truly going to help you in terms of how to read price action, when to be bullish and when to be bearish. So we're going to get right into the analysis. I'm going to be sharing with you the top stocks that I'm watching. I'm also going to be recapping the price action on the SPY and on certain stocks, sharing with you the new updated price action analysis on, well, how we're planning to trade these both ways. We're going to be going over quite a few stocks. Make sure you stay to the end because we're going to save some of the best setups for the end. We're going to be going over Tesla, SPY, Apple, NEO, Facebook, NVIDIA, Ater stock, AMC, Roblox, MULN, DraftKings, BBAI, QCOM, Limit, SST, and AMD and AMC, if I didn't say that already. So let's get right into this price action analysis. So first things first, I want to give a huge shout out to some of the members within Trader Society. Swank has been absolutely killing it, man. I see that you're posting some phenomenal trades within the members call out section. Make sure you guys are only using the member call out section just for real-time entries and real-time exits. You can also give some updates in between the trade. If you have discussion about the trades that people are making, that's what the trading floor is going to be for. So let's keep this section very clean with entries and exits and updates on the positions only. So big shout out to him. He's absolutely killing it. Portfolio was up 66% yesterday and his other portfolio was up 34%. I got to give a big shout out to my guy. I did alert within the trading floor today that SPY was approaching that key gap fill level once again, 443.8, and SPY literally bottomed at that exact low from yesterday. So the gap close reversal strategy, you could have used this twice on the SPY in the past 2 days and make an absolute killing. So big shout out to my guy using that strategy. He bought the bottom on calls using that strategy, the gap close reversal strategy, same strategy as yesterday, made nearly $1,000 on the SPY, absolutely crushed it. So big shout out on that. You guys absolutely killed it. Apple calls up 126%. Man, Bobby has been on an absolute tear, man. And big shout out to Future, 3 for 3 on the day. Bobby's portfolio is up 23% on the day, absolutely insane. 434% return on the SPY call options. This guy has been new to the program, absolutely killing it, man. Keep up the great work. So big shout out to members within Trader Society. I'm going to continue to keep you updated in terms of the trading plans. You know what confirmations to look for, what reactions to look for. Let's be self-sufficient. Let's trade the best setups at the best prices. Let's trade the plan. So in terms of SPY and in terms of the updates on the SPY, this is going to be very important. So make sure you watch this, and we're also going to go over the best setups as well. So in terms of the SPY, as you know, if you watched yesterday's video and my videos before that, the preparation and the plan was to buy call options right here at 443.80. As you could see, SPY had key support at 443.80. It had a gap up here. It filled the gap. It closed the gap, had a reversal, shot back up to 450. This exact history where SPY has a gap up, fills the gap, has a reversal, shoots back up to 450s to fill this gap. SPY has a gap down. It fills this gap right here, has a reversal twice now, shoots back up to 450s. History has repeated itself to an exact T. That's why you have to be aware of these unique trend reversal strategies. Imagine if you're not aware of this and you're buying puts towards the bottom, right? So with that being said, SPY had another gap close reversal opportunity. So in terms of confirmations, and I'd stated in my video yesterday, if SPY retraces back to that gap close reversal price, it's going to be a phenomenal dip by an opportunity. Wait for the bullish confirmations. So in terms of what bullish confirmations, in terms of where should you have been buying SPY on the day? Well, you can see right here, the initial reaction was a crack of the key level. This is the key level, same level as yesterday, right? I taught this within yesterday's video lesson to prepare you guys for it once again. So it cracked initially. So if it cracks initially, you don't do anything. You just set a price alert above the key level. Boom, the price alert triggers, it starts breaking out. So when do you want to start to buy it? I'll show you. Right here, it has a pullback. And then see how it bounced back up towards that resistance? It's forming higher support. It's forming higher support. You know this is higher support once it starts to bounce back to the resistance. And then right here, See how the bottom of these candles are now higher than the bottom of these candles? It's turning previous resistance into support. So in terms of amazing confirmations, right here, that's where you should be in terms of buying call options on this buy, would be right around here. It hit the key level, it had a breakout, it formed higher support, it had another breakout, and it's forming wicks, right? You got these wicks right here towards the previous resistance, now support. That's when you buy the call options. So that's the confirmation. Very, very simple stuff. And as you can see, the strategy worked once again. It shot back up to really start to fill that gap, right? So in terms of the video that I posted yesterday, I clearly stated that the best price to buy the calls is towards, the 440.80, literally the low again today, back to back. And then in terms of puts, I told you guys the best price for put options is the previous support on the SPY. Your previous support was right here in the 450s. There was a gap to fill at 451.03. It almost filled the gap. It got to 450.69. So it missed it by 34 cents, right? And it had a partial gap close reversal. So you can play partial gap close reversals. Like if you see the SPY has this is a massive move up from 443.80 all the way to 450s. You can play partial gap close reversals as long as there's bearish confirmation and as long as there's a double top. And as you can see, the double top formed right here. You have the resistance coming in. So that was a nice quick scalping opportunity if you were to play it as a partial. So the plan stays the same. In terms of the SPY right now, the best thing we could focus on really is some put options. That's really what we should be focusing on as we're so high in the price and this just had such a nice micro move up. So here's the plan for the SPY. $451.03, this gap fill. Once it reacts as a resistance level, you look to buy the puts. Once you see bearish confirmations, it's breaking down, it's struggling to break out, it's forming bearish wicks, it's reacting as a resistance. You look to buy the puts, write it back down into the 447, 448 range, right? So that's what we're looking for. If it goes above, we just wait for it to break down and we wait for resistance to form. Same thing if SPY cracks this level, we just set a price alert above the level, and then once it goes above, if it reacts to support, then we buy it, right? So if the initial reaction is not in your favor, don't get in the trade. Just reset the price alert. And then once the price alert triggers, look for the reaction to be in your favor. Once the reaction is in your favor, once you get the confirmations, then you look to enter the trade. So that's the game plan on SPY. Very, very simple. Once we get a negative reaction, so if this just blasts through and reacts to support, we don't buy the puts. Once we get that negative reaction at 451.03, we look to buy the puts on SPY. Very, very simple. That is the game plan. This is a micro overreaction. It's due for some sort of micro pullback. So that's the game plan in terms of SPY. In terms of a key support level, $448.70 is going to be a key support level. If that struggles to break out and reacts as a resistance level, it's really going to start to pull back to 446, which is your make it or break it support level. If that holds, it rips. If this cracks, it gets crushed, that 446.52. So in terms of other key levels to keep an eye on, 448.70, and then the middle of the channel is 446.52, and then the low end of the channel is 443.80. So in terms of best price, calls towards the dip right here, and then puts towards the gap fill at 451. Key levels to be aware of in terms of the middle are going to be 448.77 and 446.53. Those are key make it or break it levels. So that's the game plan on SPY. Very, very simple. Trading the best setups at the best prices. Just prepared you guys for that. So let's go over some stocks now. What is going to be the game plan on stocks? So for Tesla, what is happening right now is a lot of stocks just had nice sell-offs and they're currently pushing back up to go back to their previous support levels, and they have gaps to fill. So what can happen is, like I just discussed with the SPY, we can see them retest their previous support levels. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to fill their gaps. And then when they fill that gap, we wait for a bearish reaction and then ride it back down for the gap close reversal. So that's the game plan. So keep an eye on Tesla at 1,091.26. Same game plan I just gave you with the SPY, different stock, different price action, different key level. So the key level for Tesla is 1,091.26 for a potential micro put. And then in terms of calls, $1,010.64, best price to buy the calls. And then in terms of the absolute best price to buy the puts, $1,022.09. These are the best levels, guys, for great micro trades, right? So we're heading towards the middle of the channel, towards previous support on a lot of stocks right now. And we're going to see if they can have gap close reversals and react as resistance levels, as they did just blow through strong support They're pushing back up to retest previous support, which is normal to fill their gaps. And we're going to see if that gap close reversal is in play. We're going to see if they react bearish. If not, and they turn those into support levels, they're going to have a nice micro run up. I'm really not interested in chasing that move up though. So Apple is another one. You can see it's all the same pattern. They cracked their key support of the channel. They had a breakdown. Now they're starting to bottom out. So for Apple, we'll look to see how it reacts at 175.06 for the gap close reversal. Neo's getting a little interesting. It triggered dark blue on the squeeze, but for this one, it's a little weird. It filled this gap. It started to bottom out. If you guys watched my video, I told you the best price to buy Neo calls was at 1991. I told you a couple videos ago that's the best price to buy the dip on it. It's already ripping back towards that key level, and we do have a gap to fill above at 2247. It's make it or break it for Neo. For the bulls to take control, and what I would recommend on this one is the first green day. Once you see this is up and it's having the first green day, the best thing to do is to wait for it to go back down towards the previous closing price, 2036. If that reacts to support, look for the micro gap close reversal, ride it back up. So for Neo, I would wait for calls on the first green day. So once it has the first green day, I would look to buy a micro call on Neo. On Facebook, so again, same exact setup, right? So you see the pattern, you see the strategy. For Facebook, we're waiting to buy puts at $231.84 to set your price alerts, see how all the price alerts are set, right? So I'm preparing you to trade these phenomenal setups. NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is going to be calls at 229.73 and puts towards 259.31. Right now, it's going to be on the sidelines for NVIDIA till those key levels trigger. Got to be focusing on the best levels. Ater stock. A lot of you guys have been asking me about Ater, so check this out. That key make it or break it level has reacted as a support level for 2 days in a row, and it finally showed that the bulls are in control due to that positive reaction. There was a gap to fill below on Ater at 342. You could see it had a little reversal. It shot up to 367. And then the next day, the market sold off hard. It had a gap down, but then it ripped back up to try to fill this gap right here at 365. And then you can see today it gapped up. It filled the gap, had another reversal. And then once it filled this gap that was waiting to fill below, it had another reversal, holding that key level. And in terms of the daily chart, if you look at the daily chart, this right here was a very nice close. This was the key level that it needed to hold to not get crushed was 342. And it closed at 341, which is very bullish. Then it's going to try to rip back up to fill this gap at 365. And then once it breaks out and turns 365 into a support, that's when it rips and starts to take off and starts to break out. It's just wild on how well this gap close reversal strategy works for scalping. It filled the gap right here, had a reversal. It had a gap down, filled the gap right here, had a reversal. Had a gap up, filled the gap right here, had a reversal. That's 3 gap close reversals in the past 3 trading days on Ater stock. In terms of current updates, it has proven that 340 is strong, solid foundational support, which is very bullish. And as you can see, it had its move up to 466 in the after hours. So here's what I want you to understand about Ater stock. It is currently gapping up. If you go to the daily, this is what I want you to be aware of. Right here on the daily, you can see you have major resistance at $4.70, which is where this just topped out during after hours. Once it went above 470, it had a massive rip into the 670s. So your key make it or break it resistance level is going to be $4.70. That's make it or break it. So here's what's going to happen. If 460s, if 470s reacts as a resistance level, Ater stock is going to go back down to the previous closing price to fill that gap below. And as you can see, it closed at 385. So it's going to go back down to fill that gap below at 385. Now, if 385 reacts as a support level, it's going to have a gap close reversal and rip back up to the 470s. And this stock has been having back to back to back to back gap close reversals. So in terms of buying the dip, I would suggest if you're interested in buying Ater stock, you can see there's a lot of resistance at 390s. It just went above that resistance, which is bullish, but it's currently faking out on that daily resistance at 470s, which is major resistance. So what I would suggest is wait for it to go back down to fill that gap below, at $3.85. If that reacts as support, you see support coming in at 385, it's going to rip back up into the mid fours within some time, right? So that'd be the dip buying level. In terms of right now, if 460s continues to remain as a resistance levels, if 440 reacts as a resistance level, that's when it sells off hard. If 440 can react as a resistance level and break down and fill that gap below at 385. So as of now, if it does react bearish there, it is going to be a short. I would not recommend chasing this and buying the breakout at 470. I would recommend waiting for it to go back down to fill the gap at 385, right? So just know 470 is your key make it or break it level. And if 440 reacts as a resistance and it breaks down, then it gets crushed. It fills the gap below, which is where we should see a reversal and a nice dip buying opportunity as it had its breakout. And then we'll see if previous resistance can turn into support, just like this stock did that I had recommended on the watch list today. And it had a very nice move up. Shout out to Greg. He's been killing it. I believe his account started with 2K and he's up over $12,000 within Trader Society now. So this was a nice dip buying opportunity. I spoke about this in the video watch list as well towards yesterday. I'd explained to you guys that this is major resistance at, $10.50, this BBAI stock. It had a massive breakout. It came back down to fill the gap below same day, which is an overreaction, and it had a gap close reversal, and it started ripping up to fill this intraday gap at 1370s. It managed to get to a high at 1270s. That was a nice quick scalp where you could have dip bought that towards the 10s, towards the 11s, as it had a gap close reversal multiple times in the pre-market and at market open. So that was a nice little scalping opportunity on BBBI using the same strategy that I just discussed with the Ater gap fill strategy at 385. Look for the reversal. Previous resistance reacts to support, starts to break out, has a nice little move up, right? That's what to look for Ater. Same thing as BBAI. QCOM is now consolidated 2 days in a row, barely cracking. You got key support right here towards 139. Like I said, once it has the first green day, just like Neo stock, look to buy the calls, ride this back up to fill the gap at 145.46. Keep an eye on the first green day for QCOM. It's currently at a key gap close reversal support level, make it or break it. The plan is to buy calls on the first green day. AMD is really starting to look bullish. This is due for some sort of micro spike. It just seems so oversold for the micro. You do have to be aware, though, it did get downgraded. But in terms of AMD, we did reach that price target that I was expecting. We also reached that price target that I was expecting on MULN, which is what we're going to be talking about here shortly. MULN, my target hit on $2.30 right here. Right here on April 5th, I downgraded this stock to 235 by Thursday. Literally on Thursday, it bottomed in the 230s. So we're going to go over that here soon. But in terms of AMD, we're at key support, and there's a gap to fill at $106.82. So like with this one, just wait for the first green day to buy some calls. And remember, all these trades that I'm sharing with you, these are meant to be quick scalps where you make a quick 20 to 50% return on the options in terms of what contracts I'm choosing. When I'm day trading, I typically go with the expiration that expires the quickest. Sometimes on Fridays, I'll go with the expiration that expires next week. So maybe 2 to 3 days, sometimes same day. It all depends on the timing and how confident I feel that the timing and the entry is going to be absolutely phenomenal, right? And that's like displayed within the live trading webinars and within the chat room, stuff like that. It all depends on how the price action looks and how I feel about the trade in real time as it's trading within price action. So for this one, the plan would be to buy calls on the first green day, look to ride it back up to fill that gap. SST, this was a nice scalp I had today within the chat room at 9:27 a.m. right before it had the massive spike. Right here at 9:27 a.m., I decided to buy shares on SST, plan for the morning spike. I literally sold it at the top. When it hit 26.15, I got out at 25.30. I was in at 23.30. I made $2 profit per share, like 10% plus, I think, on that. I had a couple trades today, some were L's, some were wins, but overall I came out green, up nearly 2% on the day. Did a good job of cutting my losses quickly. Literally every trade I entered today was like a 10% win within like 2 minutes. It happened so quickly. And then some of them I tried to aim for bigger wins and they ended up turning red. So, it happens. That's why I typically like to get out when I'm up like 10, 20, 30%. I like to lock in my profits quickly. Because I'm telling you, it happens so many times where the market flip-flops, trades flip-flop, especially if you're trading early in the market open. Stocks tend to have trend reversals at around 10 a.m., 9:50 a.m., so you got to be aware of that as well. But this was a nice little morning spike play I had today. That's something I've been doing lately, is buying morning spikes towards pre-market. The play with this one was similar to that strategy that I showed you with BBAI and also What was the other one? BBAI, and then Ater stock. So you have major resistance right here at 1820. If that reacts to support, you can see it reacted as support right here. It's going to be bullish and it's going to start to break out, and that's what it was doing. So when I noticed it was reacting as strong support, towards above previous resistance, I was interested in buying this for a morning spike as the volume was still there towards the pre-market. So look to get in early in the pre-market and then sell into the rip. That was like a simpler strategy, not the best strategy. So in terms of MULN is not looking good, guys. This is not looking good at all. That's why I told people like to really lock in your profits at threes. Like this is going to go back to 230s. So what I want you to understand about this stock is we are at a make it or break it support level, which is what we're going to call $2.25. If that cracks and reacts as a resistance level, it is going to go back down to fill this gap below at 175, which would be an ideal level to consider buying this stock with a tight stop. If it cracks 175, then it's going to fill this gap at 135, which would be the absolute best level to buy this stock. This has definitely flipped micro bearish as the trend is no longer turning previous resistance into support. That's why as soon as I identified that this stopped turning previous resistance into support and it turned 3 key gap close reversal level right here into resistance, that's bearish. This stock has been consistently breaking out, and then when it pulls back, it turns your previous resistance right here into support. Then it rips back up, but it's not doing that anymore. It's just like PROG. When the stock, stopped turning previous resistance right here into support, and then it reacts as a resistance, it was over and it got crushed. And all the people killing it on the upside for the past months gave back all of their fucking profits because they don't understand once the stock fails. So if it breaks out and it fails to bottom at previous resistance, and that previous resistance turned into actual resistance instead of support, the trend shifts and it's going to get crushed. So you have to be able to recognize when the trend shifts. If you're buying a stock and it breaks out, it tends to pull back to the previous resistance. If that previous resistance does not turn into support, then it's going to start to get crushed. The bears are going to start to take control. The gaps are going to start to fill below, guys. You've got to understand how this game works. Don't get sold on this idea that it's just going to keep on going up. Recognize when previous resistance no longer reacts as a support level. I don't want to see you guys giving back your profits. There was some people long on this within the chat room, and I warned them, and they chose to hold it, and they're giving back profits, and some of them are red. I don't want to see people doing that. So like I said, understand, once previous resistance right here reacts as actual resistance and not support, this is when it's reacting as resistance, right? It was so obvious that this was heading back to support, and it's just bound to crack this support level because previous resistance is no longer support. The trend is shifting. It's bearish. So what I want you to understand about this stock is there's a gap to fill above at $2.65. We're likely going to see a gap fill at 265. If that reacts as a resistance, MULN is still very, very bearish. For this to have a reversal and for the bulls to step back in control, 265 has to turn into support. If 265 cannot turn into support and that reacts as a resistance, within time, 220s is going to crack, and we're going to see a gap fill at 175. Mark my words. I know how this game works with penny stocks. Right now, it is going to try to bounce. That does not mean it's bullish. It's just trying to fill the gap to turn previous support into resistance. If 265 cannot break out and turn into support, MULN is still bearish for a crack to 220 for a gap fill to 175. That's my thoughts. That's my analysis on it. 265 is the new make it or break it level. If it returns to support, then it runs to 3. DraftKings. I'm waiting for a gap fill on DraftKings at $16.13. There's a gap to fill at $16.13. If that can react as a strong support level, I'll be interested in buying call options as that's close to the 52-week lows. So I'm keeping a close eye on DraftKings for that. Limit is looking very bullish. You have a very nice green candle here, the squeeze triggered teal blue, which is very, very bullish. If this stock can break above 468, it is going to run. So what I want you to look for is if 468 breaks out and turns into support, you're going to want to look to buy limit stock, ride it for the breakout. So if limit can turn 468 into support and breakout, it's going to be bullish for the call options. And then I believe that's going to be, so Roblox, and then we got one more, I believe. So Roblox, I'm waiting to buy puts at the gap fill. There's a gap fill at 49.03. That's where I'm waiting to buy the put options on Roblox for the gap close reversal, right? And then our last one is going to be AMC. So in terms of AMC, this had multiple gap close reversals at the key level. The key level was $20.25. As you can see, it bottomed at 2022 in the pre-market, and it ripped all the way to 21.76. What did I tell you guys? Buy at 2025, and it's a scalp. Take your profits. Do not buy and hold this. To buy and hold, you need that previous closing price, that bullish candlestick to come in. There was another opportunity right here, and then a nice rip, and there was another opportunity right here and a nice rip. Even overnight, it ripped to 21.46. So the price targets were there. The strategies worked. It had nice returns. You got to lock in the profits. And then in terms of AMC, if it cracks the key level, which is at 2025, also the previous closing price, if it goes from green to red, that means that it's bearish. And in terms of, well, how low can it go if it turns 2025 into a resistance level? The daily chart is going to explain to you how low it's going to go. If it cracks 2025, the next support level on the daily is at 1971. If 1971 cracks, then it's going to go all the way down to 1886. And that's literally where it started to bottom out for the day. So if you see it crack the key level and turn into resistance right around here, I was actually long on this at 2040. As soon as it cracked 2040 and it started to break down, I would have been out even earlier, but I was focused on another position I was in as well. As soon as it cracks that and you see that previous closing price react as a resistance level and it's breaking down for a new low, you get out and then you flip sides if you want. You flip-flop with the market. It flip-flops, right? And then you buy put options and ride it back down to the 1970s. And if 1970s cracks, the next level is at 1870s to lock in profits. So there's two key targets. You know, it could flip-flop at 1972. That's the reality of the market. It flip-flops a lot. But if the key support level turns into resistance, then you get out and you look to change sides and buy puts as long as you can get a good entry, or you just sit on the sidelines. That's what you got to do. You cannot hold through these big pullbacks. Once the key level cracks, which was 2025, you cut the loss, you play it safe. That's how you got to do it. You got to get out very, very quickly. We're using trend reversal strategies. If the trend reversal does not occur at the key levels we're trading at, the stock is going to go largely against us, and it's not going to have the reversal. So the strategy can provide big wins when it has the reversal, but it can also provide big losses if it doesn't have that reversal in your favor. So if you see the reaction turn against you, so like this is an example of the reaction turning against us. It cracks the key level and then it turns it into resistance and it gets a new low, right? If you see the reaction turn against you, you cut your loss quickly and then you can change sides if you want, or you just sit on the sidelines and move on to the next best setup. Very simple. You take small losses. And then in terms of your wins, look at the winning potential. It went up all the way to 2145. And it also did that 2 times yesterday. So as you can see, the wins are a lot greater as you're buying right here, as you're buying right here. The wins are a lot greater. The wins are a lot greater. The wins are a lot greater than the losses, because we know we're getting in at the best price. And if it quickly goes against us, we're cutting the loss quickly, because we know if it's not going to have the trend reversal at that best price, then we got to play it safe and we got to get it out. And it had multiple trend reversals at that price. It had a trend reversal here, had a trend reversal here, had a trend reversal here, had a trend reversal here. It had 4 reversals at that price. If it can't break out past this 2140, it's like it's going to go back and get crushed. That's just the reality situation. But there was 4 opportunities to buy the dip and take the small profits. What I'm really seeing with this market, and in terms of my experience lately, it's like if I'm up quick on a trade, like a quick 10%, you really just got to look to lock in gains, lock in profits. If you're aiming for the big win, you could leave some on, and there's exceptions to certain strategies and certain setups. Some provide much bigger wins and some look like they have the bigger win potential. But really what I'm seeing within this market is it's like if you don't take your profits quick, you just tend to give them all back. Like I had like 4 trades today where I was up 10% within 2 minutes. And if I didn't lock in my profits on those 4 trades, like some of them I gave them back, if I didn't lock in my profits within minutes, I would have gave them all back. So it's like you got to be laser focused, get in, get out, take the profits before the flip flop. You got to be super quick. That's what I'm seeing with a lot of this market right now. So keep that in mind. There is some exceptions. There is some different types of setups that are at such key critical levels where I look to aim for bigger wins. But if I'm up like quick 10, 20, 30%, I'm just going to lock in profits and call it. Like my portfolio this morning was up like 2%, and then it went down a little bit to like 1.25%, and I finished at like 1.30%, something like that. But yeah, I mean, that's really going to wrap it up. So those are the best setups at the best prices. Now, if you do want to be a part of Trader Society and trade live with us at Market Open, you can get started with us as soon as tomorrow morning. We're going to have some great setups lined up on the live stream. So if you want to trade live with us at Market Open, it's going to be the first link down below in the description. That is the best deal, and that's the best price that this program will ever be priced at. It will never be priced lower than what it is. Eventually, the prices will be going up substantially. It's lifetime access. It's a one-time fee. You get access to the daily live trading streams that we do at Market Open. You get access to the real-time stock analysis, to the real-time stock watch list. You get access to the members within the chat. We got some members who are very self-sufficient and successful within Trader Society. We have multiple six-figure traders, and we have one seven-figure trader. So if you want to be a part of it, you're also going to learn, all of the unique gap trading strategies that we're using to consistently make money within the market. We're literally buying towards the lows, towards the tops, using these unique trend reversal strategies, getting at the best price. If you want to learn how to be self-sufficient and trade the best setups at the best prices on your own, all of the education will be provided within the video lesson library. That's where you'll learn it. And you'll also get to see it be traded in real time, the live trading price action. That's the purpose of the live trading webinars, to see the strategy be used in real time. And you could watch the recordings. It's all recorded and also live stream. You can ask questions live on the spot as well. So you get lifetime access to that. There's also training on mindset and position sizing and risk management and psychology within the video lesson library. And you do also get access to the chat room where you can send us one-on-one direct messages, whether it's me or members within the chat. There's a lot to it. So if you want to check it out, all of the information is going to be explained down below on the description. Let's finish this week as strong as we possibly can. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to invest into your education. I will see you within the next video lesson. Looking forward to training you guys tomorrow live at Market Open.